and it's great. It's really, really good. It's probably just like telling the story and making it a really logical flow, easy flow, making their life as easy as possible to read this thing. So when they've got a 100-page pack in front of them that they've got to read within the space of a week, leading into the strategy day, that it's really easy to digest. They get across the detail, and to use Scott's term, like you're getting that buy-in. You're really facilitating them wanting to believe in the project, and it's almost like, yep, nothing to see here. These guys got complete confidence. Keep going. There's value here. Keep going. So the way that you could recut it around the phasing. I think that kind of chevron arrow diagram, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 is fantastic. And to be honest, you could almost put that on a page, and that's your exec summary. But if you my thoughts would be to take it or leave it. But my thoughts would be, you got each phase structured around each phase, and then under each phase have a kind of standardized structure or substructure. So it's kind of like the what, the why, the how for phase 1, and then it's the what, the why, the how for phase 2. So they kind of see it all stepped out in a really standardized, consistent way. And then like phase 1, and you kind of nearly finished phase 1, right? Is that yeah. So phase 1, we're just about closed out. Here we are, moving into stage 2, or phase 2, sorry. This is what we're going to do, the what, the why, the how, really standardized, and then so on and so on and so on. And by virtue of that, I think it's just kind of recutting it, and then just kind of like rejigging the subheadings.
Very good. Thank you.
The one thing I will flag that I absolutely loved and I thought was fantastic was the overlay of the strategy and how it plays into the MIL strategy. I think that's, in my experience with the business and the organisation in other parts of the non-engineering space, having that strategy drive what we do, I don't necessarily see as much. So I loved seeing that. I thought that was awesome. So I'll call that out as like great. And I've actually brought the same kind of logic into the RMW paper. I thought, that's awesome. I'm going to show how RMW fits into the strategy. I thought, that's so cool. So I do want to call that out. That was awesome. Very good.
Thank you. Right, we'll get Scott's feedback and we'll start working again. For sure.
Okay, so yeah, a lot of incorporated because I've caught up with Henry, so a lot of what he's mentioned is relevant. The same. So I think the overarching document itself's done a very good job of distilling all of the detail to what I would call a level that an interested director can get enough information to satisfy their needs. There should be no need to go beyond that. So I think all the content's there, and I'm the same as Henry. So I think it's just the flow and a lot about how you tell the story through the flow. So Henry's kind of described it as, we've got these phases or stages, let's use them to the advantage, because as a director, there's probably two things you really want to know is, what am I on the hook for, and when, and where are we up to in that process? Probably a third one of them, what's it mean for a customer or shareholder? So I think it's, if I can say, like cutting and pasting and a little bit of reformatting of what's already there just to make it flow. So when I read it, maybe I'll describe this differently. So in your elevator pitch of 2 minutes before all of the questions, you can basically say, hopefully you've understood strategically why we're carrying out this program. You can see that it's in these phases. We're approaching the end of this phase, which will deliver this information. The next phase, we're moving from here to here, and then the final phase, we're moving from here to here. And if they nod because that's what they read in that order, then you've had success and you're likely to get a really good impact. So the things that stood out, so that's overarching for me. I think we really got to emphasise the fact that there was a good strategy, which it does a good job of referencing, a bit of foresight, but we are moving to a more holistic approach, which is that from the risky approach of bridges to that earthen asset, right? Key point. That's going to raise a few eyebrows, and I know Ron's going to reference it in a director's update today, I think. And I said, this is the big wow moment. This is the one that some directors like Phil Snowden might say, I knew it. I knew there was more to come. I knew that forecast wasn't right, and we have to be able to soft land it and say yes, and so did we. We've always said it was only about the risky structures when this started, but this journey is about bringing everything in now and being more holistic. In the background, Rod's also telling them all the success stories, okay, for everything the business is doing. So, yeah, I think that stood out to me. We've got to really acknowledge it and say it was really good work early, but it was limited in what it could do. So what we've done is bring the rest in, and here's where it fits in our process.
I know. Which is good. And Patricia did a good job of reflecting on the past, saying she didn't know anything about it, so that was good.
Yeah, I think it does a really good job of saying we haven't changed.
Mm-hmm.
There was some good work initiated years ago, which has got us to a point, but now we've expanded that out.
Yeah.
And we need to continue moving forward. So I think it makes that point really well. That's why I don't think the content needs to change at all. It's just the flow and or the story you're telling. So what tweaked me to that was I got a long way through the document, and I think I got down to 4.3.1, and I thought, I'm nearly at the end of the document, and we're talking about the activity that closes out stage one. That's what brought me back to this. Okay, hang on, maybe that needs to be right up in stage one, so that when I read it, I go, okay, you're in this activity, and therefore you're closing out stage one. Then my mindset moves to stage two in the document, which, as Henry said, becomes the current versus desired state. So I can see that's where you're heading to, as opposed to just part of a big plan. So,
Yep.
So what am I really saying? Overarching is more of in your messaging through the document, or the story you tell through the document. It's just more about the program and where we are in the program. That's what needs to come out. But other than that, the document itself's really good. I think it's hit the mark in terms of detail, appropriate level. But remember, I've said that detail in the right order will be excellent for the astute director who's interested. We've also got some others who'll be less interested and give me the gist of it.
Yeah.
And I think if they can basically see through the flow of the document that there's 3 stages, you're closing out stage 1, and then you're telling me where you are and where you're headed to in next 2, that's a good spot to finish.
Yeah, these guys, they're really good when you can get them to engage. I mean, they wouldn't be directors if they weren't. We've got to make if we can make their life as easy as possible to digest this and understand the who, what, why, where, how, when. It's like you've already got their buy-in kind of thing. And they'll apply the appropriate scrutiny to this stuff. But if we can make their life as easy as possible, we kind of shape the narrative. We can get them, to be very agreeable. And that's
what you'll have. You'll have my support, and I'll be standing there in the wings. If you can nail the story from beginning, 2020, let's just say, through to where we'd like to be, 35, for example, then I can keep, any time it gets off the rails, I can come in with the authority and say, I've been on this journey. This is where we are. Nothing's changed. We're just bringing things in at the appropriate times and steady that ship a little bit. What you can be talking around is already for questions around the detail of each of the activities. Because we don't want them knowing anything more or getting any deeper than what are the benefits of that activity again in stage 1 or stage 2. That's what you want to be able to help them with. But I think it's a good job. The document's great.
I think so. Yeah, I do want to stress that. I really think this is why I love the strategy being included in there, and like the overlaying of the strategy. It's like as soon as you can establish the confidence, the board's confidence that you will achieve this, which there's no reason to suggest you won't. by having the strategy in there, you've almost eliminated the question of, well, why would we do this? Because you can see why we'll do it. There's the strategy. It aligns. Like this, we need to do it if we want to actually implement our strategy. This is a key project to do so. And then it just becomes a question of ensuring there's that confidence that we'll get it done on time, on budget, which, as I said, no reason to suggest that this report doesn't do that.
Well, that's the authority, isn't it, Henry? That we're acting with authority because this is a known program now, and we know what we're doing. We're into it. The other thing for context, which might just for your benefit, particularly Patricia, is on the board strategy day. The overarching thing the exec team have been talking about is getting the board at the end of the sessions to agree that the current company strategy is with management and to have all of these activities. Please leave them alone for the next 1 to 3 years to finish them.
Right.
And we're going to try and get them focused on the 5 to 15 year strategy development. So what we're really saying in this presentation is that's why it's good to highlight it up front and say, based on the strategy set 5 years ago, this activity was initiated 5 years ago, and what we're doing is running it up to this point as an, what's the word I'm looking for? The outcomes of this project will feed in to your 5 to 15 year strategy because it will provide more certainty for the forecasting. So the old strategy is all about shoring up the business and knowing more about it and stabilising it. The new strategy will be about opportunity. And what we're trying to do in this exercise is say, we will have the best available data for you to forecast what you need in terms of commercial outcomes for the business in 5 to 15 years. So you don't need to worry. I can help with that linkage, and that's what Henry and I and others will be there to try and do. But just for your context, we're really saying, please don't come near this. Don't ask too many questions other than for your interest, because this team knows what they have to do, and it's set.
I might just leave you with a few final comments because I've just missed a call from New South Wales to Q. I'm kind of hoping that's all to let us know the minister's signed that funding. And I should call him back because I've got to jump on another one. But I'll just some instructions from Steph, who'll go about bringing this whole pack together. She just wants to see the the photos, graphs, Excel table. Yeah, perfect. You guys are all over it. I've got to work out how I'm doing that from W, but myself. But I just thought I'd let you know. But otherwise, it all looks great. So I think, yeah.
Only last question from me before you go. So that's plenty of feedback, and that's good for us. On that, there was the dates. So Patricia and Scott developed that the schedule or the phase schedule at the start, which is good with the dates. No issues with any of those dates. I haven't thought about it too much, but my initial thought was that doesn't align with our business modernisation review to the T. Was there any thoughts there that you were worried about any of those dates, or better just put it out there now? Yep.
That's for me what I was just mentioning is I think if we can acknowledge the fact that we're moving from the current strategy to the board building a new strategy, and that this will just be feeding into it. It continues across the spectrum of both, with increasing certainty of the inputs into 5 to 15 years. I think that way you preserve your timeframes that you've identified, but you acknowledge that by that time that we're in the 5 to 15 year strategy, we'll be more into that not continuous improvement, but whatever the name of that cycle was, which is just fine tuning.
Yeah. I should quickly share a slide that is in draft, so it's not final, but it kind of points to this idea that we've got this overlap or we will have an overlap of existing. We're going to close out the light blue, which is the existing strategy, give us the chance to finish what we started. But at the same time, over the course of the year, we're going to develop this emerging strategy, and it might be beyond this year as well. It might just be more than the next year. It could be up to 2 or 3. But it's this kind of concept that let us close out the existing strategy. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't shift the goalposts. But at the same time, you've got the chance to start thinking, 5 to 10, 15 years ahead, and start thinking about what else we need to shape. So I just thought that visual might help.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's right. Right. I'll work with Patricia on this, and we'll work through it. And I might get some more feedback from you later on this afternoon, Scott, just to make sure we've nailed that part of it. Just apart from that, I think it should be, we can work through it first.
Just flow, don't change the data.
Yeah, that's right. It's more, that's it. Very good. Okay,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
See you
All right,
later.
thanks.
Patricia, I'll catch you. Yep.
All right.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good feedback. You've done a good job.
Thank you.
Now,
Well, I was just saying to Scott yesterday about, because when I added that timeline, I was telling Scott I'm a bit conscious that we're calling these phases in this introduction, but we don't actually mention it within the body.
I did just see your comment there saying we're Bill overjoined with that. So yes, I did see that. Yep. And that will, well, the feedback is the phases are a good thing. So let's stick with that then. We might, and it's up to you how you want to do this, but